All right. What's up, bro? What's
Let's
up?
start.
And yeah, before anything else, what just happened behind camera was my friend got placed in a startup.
Oh,
That's why we were celebrating, and that's why it took like another 10-15 minutes. But
nice.
yeah,
Congratulations, Raja.
congratulations to him. He'll be listening to this. So, but yeah,
Great.
that was
Yeah, that's
amazing.
nice, man. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and we basically upgraded to actually showing our faces this time,
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
that's not
That-
how that works.
yeah, man,
But
it's amazing, it's
yeah, we're
amazing.
trying
But
different things.
yeah, I know I'm going to talk about this another time, for the second time in the second podcast. But what happened to Lando Norris now?
Yeah,
That
okay, yeah.
was that
And he,
was the best thing that could
yeah.
happen to him, but then it was snatched away by 5-second penalties. Come on, man.
I don't know.
Come
Well,
on.
it's
That's
pretty
not
complicated.
fair.
Yeah, I mean, I watched with my cousin, and it was pretty great this time. Like again, Max Verstappen flying as always, and like leaving everyone behind in the dust like nothing. But it's like I was actually very satisfied with Lando, surpassing Hamilton. Like him taking over Hamilton, that was nice. That felt
That
really
was
good.
amazing, bro. That was because I think Hamilton had some issues. I don't know what happened, but like Hamilton had some issues with his car, right? He couldn't get power, his tires were gone or something like that. So he
I
was
guess.
falling behind the places and he went all the way to fourth or fifth, right?
Yeah.
And but yeah, congrats to Lando Norris, man. That was amazing. That was the
And
best, like simultaneously the best and the worst podium that he got till now. It's
yeah,
it's so it's so frustrating, but it was amazing still.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
good
Charles
one.
also did very good. I mean, the thing that's happening with Ferrari is like they're ending up very bad in the qualifying rounds,
Yeah,
and then in the race
I
they're
don't know what's
flying.
happening for both
So
of
it's
them.
kind of a negative thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, with the signs as well as with Leclerc, it's the same thing. Like they don't perform in qualifying, and then they do freaking like 5-6 overtakes in the race. I'm like, what is this? Why are you not performing in qualifying? Perform
I
better then.
agree. Both of them are really good drivers. Like the thing is, Science is actually very good. He's almost championship material if given a car.
Yeah.
But I think Carlos Sainz is way more of a, like he's more consistent with his points right now in Ferrari at
Mhm.
least in
True, true.
2021. We all
He
thought
turned that
Leclerc would
thing.
always be ahead, but Carlos is actually more consistent with his, gaining points in every race. So
Yeah,
that's pretty
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So what
crazy.
I really want in the coming years is a good rivalry between the young drivers. You know what I mean? Like I want Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, George Russell. These people, right? The
Oh,
extreme
George
young
Russell,
ones.
bro.
I
George Russell
want
had an amazing race as well.
a very good, relatively equal cars so that they can, perform at their best. I mean, we can see
Definitely.
from the races they're actually, they all of them are really good. It's just because the car
Exactly.
difference is that they get pulled apart in the ranks, right?
Agreed,
It's
agreed,
just
agreed.
how it works.
No, I
And
mean,
here,
bro,
guys,
that's the whole game, right? I guess that it's not just the driver, it's the cars as well. So I
yeah,
mean, I guess we could have better cars on the field, but the problem is Red Bull and Mercedes are so far ahead of the rest of them that it's a problem. I mean, it could
that's
be that you can have more equal cars, and that's why they're also doing this whole thing about limiting, capping basically the funding at what 165 or 170 million dollars per team, right? So I mean, yeah, that is true in a way, but still they still have a ways to go before the teams are a bit more competitive. It's just
yeah.
the Mercedes versus Red Bull, Ferrari versus McLaren, and then like the freaking rest of the entire thing.
So the good thing is like from next year there's gonna be quite a lot of regulation changes, like budget changes, and there are gonna be newer cars, like in a much more
Newer
fundamental way.
cars?
There are gonna be newer cars, I think, for the next season. Yeah, and I
Oh, okay.
think that will bring competition closer, or at least it will change the competition from
Oh,
what it
that's
is
nice.
right now. Red Bull and Mercedes. So that's gonna be nice.
Oh,
I'm
that's cool.
looking very forward to the next year. Yeah.
How, I mean, I don't know if you know a lot more about it, but how do you think? I mean, like how they said are they gonna change the cars? I mean, I don't know about that.
No, I mean, I'm not too sure about that, but I have talked with friends and stuff, and they've told me that they're gonna be basically the one of the biggest thing is of course the budget of the
Mhm.
cars,
Yeah.
and then there are certain things which lead them to basically along with the fact that they all the constructors have also come up with newer generation cars, so they're like I guess there may be sort of like a generation cycle or something. I
Uh,
think there's like a turbo hybrid era right now, or which one do they call it right
but
now? But I
are they
forget.
gonna bring like hybrid cars in the
Uh,
race? That'll be cool.
this I don't know how the terminology works, but I think there's gonna be a newer generation of car
Mm.
the
Yeah.
next season. And that's gonna be nice. So yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely, man. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing.
Another topical thing that I want to talk about, just quickly before we start this session.
Yeah, sure.
Windows 11. What do you think of Windows 11?
It's Mac OS.
Is
That's
it
what I
really
think.
the feel like?
That's what I think about. That's what I think about the OS. I mean, so
Yeah.
see, the thing is, they're trying to make it more consistent. They're trying to make it more, like I don't know, touch oriented or something. I don't know. They had this entire mess called Windows 8 where they tried to work with touch and they really failed. Like design wise, I guess it was faster than Windows 7 definitely, but design wise it was a failure. That's what I feel personally, at least. But like Windows 10, the biggest problem with Windows 10 was that it always felt like a beta OS. Like it never felt like, to me personally, it never felt like it was a complete thing. It was always a hodgepodge of things. Like settings will be merged with control panel and Windows Store, like Microsoft Store, nobody cared about. And you would always have third-party things going on, and they're still not giving proper Vulkan and OpenGL support. Sometimes they'll be there, but still developers are struggling with Vulkan and OpenGL. So that's basically the libraries that allow game developers to develop games that work not only on Windows but on other OSs as well, right? So
Yeah.
basically, if you develop it in OpenGL or Vulkan, then you will be able to provide that same game on Linux and on Mac OS without, I think, any changes. I'm not sure exactly, but with minimal changes, you can work with any OS that you want, right? While DirectX is a Windows only thing.
Yeah.
So Vulkan and OpenGL support has also been a bit like it's not perfect because it's new, of course. I mean, developers are just adopting it now, so
Yeah.
it's a new generation kind of in game development, right? And on top of that, there's also this whole development thing. Like of course, COVID has brought down a lot of problems with
Yeah.
developers. So on top of that, that's why there's a lot of game development that has been delayed, right? I mean, I guess I don't know if I should blame the problem of Cyberpunk on COVID, but because CD Projekt Red's management was bad on itself.
On its
But
own,
I
yeah.
digress. And my point was on Windows 11. The point is that I feel Windows 11 is good. It feels a bit more consistent. There are some
Yeah.
features that I would like to have had, but I think they're gone. I'm not sure yet. My friend
Right.
has
Right.
installed the insider preview of that, and I've not looked at it yet. So I'm going to look
Oh.
at it in a couple of days.
So I
But
think there aren't a lot of changes under the hood. Like
yeah,
on a technical level, they haven't made a lot of changes, but like the appearance is quite changed, and it's like they brought the Windows icon in the middle and things like that. The
yeah,
I think in terms of basically the UI interaction thing, basically how we can have these sorts of multiple desktops, which was already there, but that along with additional features that make it a much better experience basically.
yeah,
And there's a lot
definitely.
of tabs and things. I didn't watch the whole thing with the about the Windows 11. I didn't watch the entire live
Yeah, even
thing.
I actually haven't watched it at all. I have just looked at the videos by Linus or by Dave 2D or
Yeah,
something.
that's pretty much what I've done as well. Yeah, but it does look pretty good, and I think if it's like done well, it would be pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I heard, I'm not sure if it's true, is that the what do you call it, taskbar, the
Yeah,
thing,
that's
the
fun. It's
Windows
called.
bar taskbar. Yeah.
How long have you not been with the Windows OS today? Like
I've been
it's
only
called
with it for 3 months. I don't know. I just been with it about 3 months. Anyway, my point is that the bar, the taskbar, I think it cannot be moved anymore. So I moved it to the left, right? I think you also did. I'm not sure, but I moved it to the left. And I've
Yeah,
heard that Windows 11 does not allow you to move it anywhere. It's now only it's stuck at the bottom now. I do not like that. I do not like that at all. If that is a thing that's gonna happen,
yeah.
then I will not upgrade to Windows
I
11.
hope not. Yeah, because
That's
I
not
love that.
fair. Come on, like
Yeah.
why are you removing features? That's not done, man. But yeah, in general, honestly, I just feel it's a good design. It's a more consistent design at least.
Yeah, okay, so that's all about Windows 10. I'm also gonna I guess we'll discuss in a further episode about Android 12 as well, and basically design UI and shit like that, and your homecoming to coming back to Windows and things like
Back
that.
to, oh my
Yeah,
god, I like the phrase coming back to Windows as if I'm gonna stay on Windows. But yeah,
come back. You have to remember that you weren't always a Mac person. You have to remember
no,
that.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I'll move to Linux very quickly if Windows turns out to be annoying too. That's all I'm saying. But
Oh
yeah,
shit. Okay. Uh, I'm assuming too much by saying that you have returned to Windows. Yeah,
yeah,
I think I
exactly.
should
That's what
keep
I'm
that
saying.
in mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What points did you have? Let's begin.
Yeah. So, like, my first real question was, what have you been watching recently that we haven't talked about since you moved there?
So okay, I actually have okay. I've not been watching TV shows at all. That's the sabbatical that I took on. I took in 2019, 2020, and I have not been
Yeah.
coming back to it. I've tried coming back to TV shows like Seinfeld, like everything from Seinfeld to Monster. I've tried like from a freaking sitcom to the most depressing anime ever, right? And like I've not been able to stick to any of them. So I didn't want to insult the shows more and I just dropped them for now and I'll come back to them later. But what I have been watching are very interesting movies, honestly. I've also been reading books, but we'll talk about books later. But I actually watched a couple of really good movies. And I mean, I think we did not talk about two movies that I recently watched like just last week. Then they're not critically acclaimed good movies, but I really had fun watching them. So they were two Bollywood movies, so that's also fun.
All
But
right. Okay.
the first movie I
Getting it.
watched was Bhavesh Joshi Superhero. So that's a yeah.
I have
So
not heard of it. And it
yeah, I'm
sounds like
sure
a
you
very
haven't heard of it. Yeah,
2021 Bollywood, very recent.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a 2020 or 21 Bollywood movie. I'm not sure when it came out, but it was like maybe last year or this year. But
Okay.
the point is that it was a very very interesting movie. So you know the whole superhero story, right? That the Marvel formula, as they call it. That
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
you have a person that's a hero. He goes through these entire things. He gets defeated by the villain. Then he finds himself. He trains himself. There's a montage, training montage. He gets better.
Yeah.
He does a couple of low level mini boss fights, and then there's the main boss fight, and then he gets he conquers something and he learned something in the meantime as well. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's mainly the Marvel formula. Right? And in a way, they've done exactly that. That they've used the Marvel formula, right? And the interesting part of it is that they've not done it in a very raw, like I don't know, maybe the best way to compare it is Krish, right? So Krish
Okay. Wait. So
itself was
it is a superhero movie.
yeah, it's a super yeah,
Okay.
okay, yeah, it is a
Movie
superhero movie.
talking about protagonist thing and getting like a sort of framework with Marvel. It's actually a superhero movie.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I
it
did
is
not
a
know
superhero.
that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
so
superhero movie I remember is like Krish from Bollywood. I don't remember any other,
I don't think there are. If
superhero getting as popular in India at least. Can't remember right now from the top of
definitely,
my
I
head.
don't think there are any Bollywood superheroes, but if there are, then I'm really sorry about that. But they were shitty enough that I don't know about them. but
Yeah.
but no, see, the thing is, Krish was good, right? Krish was in general, it was a good setup. It was, of course, it was bad
You can say
editing,
it's
not
not a
bad.
bad leader. It's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
For
It was
Bollywood,
bad
it's
in
not
any
bad.
way, but it was good in general. And Krish 3
Yeah.
was like complete shit. It was
Yeah.
a
It was shit.
complete disaster. Right.
It was.
Now what is with this Bhavesh Joshi movie is that It's more like a Batman movie. It's not a person that has superpowers. It's a
Okay.
person that just wants to change the system. So the Bollywood counterpart of it is that there's a lot of corruption in Mumbai. So it's based in Mumbai, and there are a couple of guys that start up a YouTube channel, Meta, very Meta.
Okay.
But what happens is that they essentially just uh, they just make videos out of nowhere, and they'll just be doing small shit. They'll be stopping someone from breaking trees, and they'll get internet back and all that shit. It's really weird. There's this entire ironic thing about it where they do weird shit, and then something really bad actually happens with one of them. So the second guy goes through the entire journey of going through this depression, that his friend went away, and then he understands that there's something actually wrong with the system, and he goes through this montage of training himself, and then he actually tries to fix the thing. I mean, I don't know, like, spoilers, blah blah, but it's a good movie in general. Like, I don't want to say what happens in the end, but my point is the movie is very unironically a superhero movie. It's not in any way a badly written movie that there are just superhero things
Who
thrown
are
in
the
the mix,
lead actors?
right?
Who are the lead actors?
The lead, there is no. I think there's a popular guy called Harshvardhan Kapoor. So that guy's in there. I
Okay.
don't know the other guys, but
Yeah.
apparently Harshvardhan Kapoor is one of the nepotism guys. But they
Right.
actually ended up making a good movie, and by the end of the movie, we realized that it was made by Anurag Kashyap and Vikramaditya Motwane.
Oh,
So it's
nice.
actually a
Anurag Kashyap making a superhero movie.
that's what
Oh,
I'm saying.
did I wake up in an alternate reality? What's going on right
Like,
now? What?
it's interesting, but no, see, the thing, that's what I'm saying, right? The thing is that the movie is actually very unironically a non superpower superhero movie. Like,
Right,
it's
right,
kind
right.
of like if you remember Daredevil, right? So Daredevil has
Yeah,
this entire element of brutal action and everything, very realistic action, right? This movie also does the same thing. So it has these moments where he'll try to fight and he'll miserably fail. Like, he'll try to
right.
jump down a zip line, and he'll literally just swing and come back, and people will start beating him, and then he'll go down and fall on a freaking car and do all this weird shit, right?
Yeah,
So it's
so
a
is
very.
it corny? I guess hopefully it's not that as corny as the, other Bollywood movies
No,
basically
that's what I'm
like.
saying, right?
It
It's
doesn't
very
feel
unironically a very good, a very well
right,
written
right,
movie. It
right.
follows the Marvel formula very well, and it has its own things. I mean, a normal guy in Mumbai would not know martial arts like Batman or freaking Daredevil would, right? So that's what
Right,
they've
right.
shown. They've literally shown it just that way, that he's trying to fight, and he's kind of a rich kid as well. So he has a KTM bike, but he also modifies that KTM bike to have a nitrous. But he then tests out his bike multiple times. Then his bike fails as well. It's a very realistically portrayed movie. If it was made in Mumbai, you would really feel that this is someone in Mumbai. It's not
Right.
it's not very far fetched. That's what I'm saying, right? And that's what I really liked about it. In the end, I'll give it like a 3 or a 3.5 out of 5, not more than that. But it's still a really good attempt at a superhero movie from an industry that is really known for making corny remakes out
Yeah.
of every freaking concept from Hollywood, right? So it's a
Recently,
really good movie, I think, and it didn't get a lot of recognition. That's what at least I heard from my friends. I mean, I didn't know about the movie, so but like I'm not a good judge of Bollywood movies anyway. But
right.
that was a really good movie. And the second movie that I watched was what was it called? Hasina Dilruba. That's a
Watching these days, man.
yeah, I
Really,
know, right? Like, this is
I'm
this
sure,
is weird.
I'm sure they're not very bad movies, but like it really sounds like you're trying to make a joke right now. If you
No, no,
understand
okay. See, that's
perspective.
what I'm saying. Okay, in the end, I'm gonna rate all those movies, right? And I'll tell you, I haven't watched. There's only one movie I've watched, and I'm saving it for the end of towards the later part of the discussion.
Right.
But all other movies that I've watched, I'm not gonna give them more than 3.5 in the end. right? So they're not very good movies, but I like what they're doing, right? I like the main thing I like about the examples that I talk about as much as possible. The main thing that I like about them is that they've tried original concepts and they've written it in their own way. It's not
Right.
it's not a corny remake. It's not a freaking third part. Like, it's not freaking Dabang 3 or Race 3 or freaking Ek Tha Tiger 2 or whatever. Like, all
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's really an original concept. It's actually Race, right? Or it is actually, I don't know, Krish maybe, right? And
Yeah. At
the
least something
concept,
original.
yeah,
That's
the
nice.
movie themselves may be bad, but they may okay or even bad, but they are very original, and that's what I really personally am looking for in movies these days, because I just watched freaking Fast 9 F9 whatever, and like, come on, I'm like
Yeah.
so
You
annoyed
didn't
of the
watch it,
same.
right?
Yeah, we went to the what do you call that, it was this Dolby what do you call it, screen, what
Right.
is it called? Yeah, it's a
Right. Right.
screen that has all these Dolby speakers and all these sofas, huge sofas and everything. It gives you a good experience, and that's why. And we had like this pass that we used to watch the movie. It was a good movie, but like the ninth movie about family. Please
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah,
I,
I think that part in the Fast and Furious franchise where Dominic started, like started focusing less on the race part of it and focused more on the like the family. I this is my family and I have to protect this family. And I mean, it was still good for like one or two movies. I think Fast Five was still one of the last. I guess not so
yeah,
bad.
the bank heist. The bank
It
heist
was
was the last good one.
you
Yeah.
always like that blockbuster mindless action, right? It's still pretty good, but like after one point it's just like there is no motivation. I can feel no motivation behind the actions anymore. It's like how many times are you gonna protect your family? Like basically if the Fast and Furious formula is like blow shit up because you have to protect your family. That's it. That's the sentence. Like it's
It's just
too much.
there's this entire thing on Reddit as well. So people have been talking, memifying this whole thing about Vin Diesel always talking about family, but I have been talking about it since, I don't know, seventh movie, the seventh movie itself, that
Yeah.
he's doing family way too much. I'm like, just like shut up
And then
already.
there are two more movies come out with the same thing. It's like,
I mean,
oh god.
again, I don't want to give any spoilers because there are a lot of people that like the movie, that are still gonna watch this podcast. But yeah, they've set it up so that they can still have a couple movies, and they'll freaking be called like Fasten Your Seatbelt and like Fast 11. I don't know what that'll be. I don't know, freaking annoying as shit, man. But
But
yeah,
yeah, I
okay,
think
no, no.
the action will
Let's
be good. I
let's
think
talk about good movies. Wait, let's talk about good movies like
right.
Hasina
Okay.
Dilruba.
Oh,
Like,
right. Yeah. Coming
I
back to
can't
good
even, I
movies.
can't
Yeah.
even say that with a straight face, man.
Yeah. This is like we're too
Yeah,
much inside of the irony. We're swimming in there right now. I
yeah,
guess
I
it's
know,
it's
right? I kind of feel like donkey. I don't even know when I'm being ironic and when I'm being unironically enthusiastic.
yeah.
But
Exactly.
anyway, Hasina Dilruba. The concept of it is that I guess a very extroverted girl marries in a house where the guy is introverted and they're very down to earth people, and the girl doesn't like the guy, so the girl started having an affair with someone else, and then there's this entire overly dramatic, overly exaggerated, you know, revenge, I don't know, that the guy takes, and then there's this
Okay.
entire police case that happens, and then it's a weird thing. Okay, why I
Yeah.
really like it is that I have watched anime. Okay, I watched
Yeah.
anime, and what I feel is that the movie actually, I mean, it's a bad Bollywood movie, but it would make for a really good anime movie. It would
Okay.
the that over exaggerated emotions thing, and
Right.
like, okay, so you had an affair with a guy that I know. How about I try to kill you by setting you on fire?
Yeah.
Like,
That's basically it's like the thing is like Bollywood and anime. Exaggerating emotions. That's
yeah,
basically how anime.
yeah, that's exactly true. That's
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 like the
exactly
most
what I'm.
common thing you can find between these two. So,
That's exactly what it is. And like by no means is it a good movie. It's like at best it's an okay movie. But the one thing that I liked about it is that it's so close to the anime style of making okay movies that I just had to mention it. In the end, I wouldn't even give it like more than 2.5. I think it's like it's
right.
not even a 3, it's a 2.5. But I wanted to mention it because it's like the writing, man. That's what really gets me, that the writing is undoubtedly original. And it goes into these directions where I mean, see, the thing that I said after I watched the movie was, we hate Bollywood for making exaggerated things, but then we go and watch anime and we appreciate the exaggeratedness, ironically, right?
Yeah,
But that's not fair, right? If you're doing the same thing with anime,
of
you
course.
should do that to Bollywood as well.
Yeah, yeah.
In the end,
Everything
I'll
should be given a fair chance.
exactly,
Like you
like
should
I understand
stereotype,
that the medium is animated, so
well,
it gives you
people
a bit.
stereotype anime as well. So like there are a lot of people who the weeb term and things like that. There are also quite a good number of people that do that as well. But then I guess among peers like us living in from an Indian background, at least right now, we have a better view of, let's say, anime than we would have of Bollywood. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Fair,
So
I guess. I mean, yeah, that's true. So, I mean, I'm just putting a case forward that if you're watching exaggerated anime, think about exaggerated Bollywood as well. That's all
yeah,
I'm saying. And of course,
it's
I'll give
still
them. Yeah, the movie gets a for 2.5 out of 5, definitely. Right.
right, right.
But yeah, these are the two movies that I watched, and they're really interesting. But yeah, but I mean, in the see, this really takes me into this direction where I'm talking about original writing, right? So, I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
usually people, okay, I don't know if I should be I should structure it this way, but I feel that people, when they start watching movies, they'll usually look at the plot and the and the acting, I guess, maximum, that they look at the acting. And if they're more into it, then they look into direction as well. So maybe if it's a Nolan movie or a Tarantino movie or a
Yeah.
James Cameron movie, then they'll understand, okay, this is a particular format. Michael Bay movie, right? Then
Yeah.
they'll know that it's a particular format and they're following that and they keep going with that, right? What I feel is that you can, of course, like critically, there's like 1,000 different ways to analyze a movie, right? But I feel that writing can bring even even the worst actors and the worst directors together and make an okay movie at least, right? So Hasina Dilruba was an example of that. That it's writing that made me really feel like I'm watching an anime movie, but it was a Bollywood movie, right? And why I keep mentioning that movie is just because of that. That it's really well. The movie is written in such a way that it just gives you that thinking. Like once that thought is in your head that it's an anime movie, you won't forget that. Like it
Right.
just stays in your head for a long time, and till the movie ends you just think about it that way. And that's really the direction that I'm taking. That the reason why I like writing in movies is that it brings a lot of things together. So even Tarantino has this entire format of writing and directing. Nolan has this entire thing of doing the same thing.
Exactly.
And even, I mean, think about it. The Westworld was written by Nolan's younger brother, Jonathan Nolan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you think, you have to understand the importance that good writing brings. Like Westworld did not have a good, it didn't have an amazing plot. It had a good plot. It was good in general, and the actors are of course famous actors. But in the end, other than Anthony Hopkins, no one else was they were
He
not
took the stage.
known for the
He
acting.
commanded the show. Like you could
Exactly,
see
exactly.
he's commanding the show easily.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah. It was a very normal show, but because of this cohesive writing, it brought all of these things together, right, into a very, very, very respectable show. I'm not saying that it's a 5 out of 5 show, but it's a very, very respectable show in my opinion. That it's a very cleanly made. The concept is
well contained.
well explored and everything. I guess I'm not seeing season 3 of it, but I felt that the season 1 and 2 together make a very good show in the
I
end.
think it's about that term that nerd writer described as tonal focus, right? That
Yeah,
basically that's
definitely.
what writing can do well, right? That it will keep the tonal focus intact. Like the movie has the same tone. Sometimes, like we all had this experience where sometimes we watch a movie, like, and then halfway through it just goes into a different direction. It just feels like it lost its own goal, right? That's
Yeah.
what good writing can, stop basically. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what good writing avoids, and that's the sort of idea, right? So the things that I've been watching, basically, I think I've talked to you about this, but basically I've had so many things in my watch list in IMDb,
Yeah.
that I've been collecting for a long time, and now I'm finally digging through them. So like I'm watching very new movies and very old movies at like the same time. So it's sort
Right.
of very interesting at that, and I'm just trying to find out how I want to, what kind of movies I want to watch now, as well, right?
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
sort of thing. So recently I watched Moneyball. Did you watch Moneyball?
Yeah, I have to watch it.
Aaron
I
Sorkin.
was thinking of it because the problem is because we watch movies together, right? So like a couple of us have watched the movie, so we have to watch it on our own time. And yeah, I still
Right.
haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, tell me.
Dude, Moneyball is so good. Like I don't know what it is about that, but that idea of tonal focus, right? And like good
Yeah.
writing, we all know it's written by Aaron Sorkin, right? So we know it's gonna be good. Like Aaron Sorkin writing, we've got writing covered, okay?
Yeah.
But actually watching the movie, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't feel like it's written by Aaron Sorkin. You have that extremely witty, quick dialogue, right? But that's not entirely true in Moneyball.
Mm-hmm.
Like so the thing is like it's a baseball movie, right?
Yeah.
So that's the largest fishnet in terms of gaining audiences. Like that's the
Mm.
majority of the people who are going to be watching Moneyball. But
Yeah.
then the movie is not exactly about baseball. Like that's not its message or that's not its crux. And I don't want to reveal too much about it. And I think everybody should watch that movie. There's not a lot of action and not a lot of baseball going on in there.
Got it. Yeah.
You'll figure it out through the screen time. Like a lot of the screen time is just captured in people talking with each other, right? But
Interesting. Great.
basically you'll watch that movie and it just feels so good. Like it has really good soundtrack as well, and it is very calm. The entire like who stars Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt stars that movie, and he is very like he's very good in that movie. I think I saw sort of review for that movie, and somebody said that about Brad Pitt that inside of a movie star, basically Brad Pitt is a very good actor trapped inside a movie star. That's
Yeah.
what said in that.
Interesting. That is very interesting.
We've all seen some movies where he actually acted well, but I think Moneyball is his best performance till date. He has done very good in that movie, and basically the vibes that I was getting from it were that it was a movie ahead of its time, but like not even ahead of its time. Like it's still ahead of its time. I feel what it really feels like is like it's a movie from the future. I don't know. Gives some sort of a very weird vibe to me. I don't think a lot of people are gonna be able to relate to that when they watch the movie. But I had this sort of feeling just because of the kind of message they were giving and what they were writing. I want to say so much right now, but I just can't reveal it because I really want everybody to watch it. But the point is, it's basically about. I should preface with saying what it's about as well. So let me just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I should talk about that. So
Yeah.
uh, it's just about baseball statistics. Okay,
Yeah.
so a manager and basically the team, Oakland A's, that is a baseball team, does not have enough money right now, and a lot of their star players have been sacked,
Right.
and they need to form a team that can compete in the championship, right? Obviously,
Got it.
it's a very straightforward plot. But the way he approaches it and the idea that he takes that instead of looking at players, we need to look at the statistics and the runs that the players score, and with that we will form a team from the ground. Not we'll not okay. So if we talk in a more relatable terms, then we can say in football, right? Like we'd say, okay, players like we can take players like Messi, Ronaldo, some of the top players, and if you put them together, they do a good job and things like that. But so that's actually not how you should think about a team when you're making a team. At least that's what's true in baseball, and that's what they tried to show. So basically, this entire movie is about him trying to change the system, basically change the way uh, baseball clubs function and how players are distributed, right? And how players
Interesting.
are bought. And he has a fraction of a money compared to what the top teams have, right? And he still does a very good job with it. And that's basically what happens in the movie, and it's really good. I think you should check it out. Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
watch
definitely.
it.
I mean, see, here's the thing, right? There's an interesting thing. So I think, of course, apart from you, there have been a lot of other people that have told me to watch Moneyball. And when I say that I haven't watched it, they've actually not revealed almost anything at all. I think the most I've heard about Moneyball is what you just said. Like, I've actually, like, everybody has unanimously not been telling me about the movie as much as possible, because I think
Right.
that everybody thinks that, it's a great movie and I should experience it all by myself, and
Right.
I should not have any preconceived notions and all that. But yeah, I mean, that's an amazing movie to watch. And a quick side note, that is something, that is something that I do as well, that I don't like to have any preconceived notions about any kind of entertainment that I consume, right?
Yeah.
I'll always, like, even if then, like, when the freaking Avengers Infinity War movie came out, they had, like, I think 3 4 trailers, and I had watched the first trailer and I had stayed away from the freaking internet that was connected to Avengers as much as possible. I was literally running away from people that would be watching second or third trailer in front of me. And,
Right.
like, I have this entire thing, right, that I don't like to have this notion, have any kind of thought when I enter the movie, right? And I guess in a way that's also why I like the 2 movies that I just talked about. That there was no preconceived notion. I had literally no expectations from the movie, so whatever I got from the movie was all positive, right? Even though in the end I didn't rate them much, but still I felt that I gained a lot from the movie. If I already
Exactly.
had expectations, then it would always
Yeah.
be shattered in one way or another.
So I think that's what I've been kind of doing the past couple of months. Is that like I'm always trying to think from the perspective of the creator and what sort of message you're trying to convey. Because this is how I'm looking at entertainment these days. Like, what is any sort of piece of media, anyways, right? It's a communication from the creator to the
Sure.
audience. They want
Yeah.
to communicate in a way that is related. That's why it's wrapped around the story. And I think that's like uh, it's a perspective. It's a way in which you can think about a
Sure.
piece of media. And I think what that allows for any sort of viewer is to feel connected to the movie in a better way, right? Like, so for example, if we talk about Jojo Rabbit, right? It's a very simple movie. And it's quite fun. It's a really good movie. I think everybody like that. Quite an inoffensive movie. It's a
Yeah.
like
It was a
everybody would
good.
like.
It was a good publicly received movie as well, and a critically received as well. So it was a good movie.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, but exactly, right? Yeah. But if you like even try to think a bit more about what's actually going on in the movie, right? You feel like, okay, it's a serious topic being tackled in a silly way, right? But like when you look at the screen time, you sort of understand that like it's actually about why is it silly, right? It's because they are following a child, right? So basically we're stepping into the shoes of a child that is trapped in this sort of an environment, right? Which is basically full of propaganda filled in
yeah.
his brain. And so we see these sorts of very harsh, opinions. For example, that child literally says, very bad thing about Jews and things like that, right? But then in the very same breath, he's just talking to a, clown Hitler imaginary friend, right?
Yeah.
Basically, that's what's happening. So it's like in the all of these different things are happening in the same breath. So it is a very true representation of being into the shoes of a child, right? And how propaganda affects the brain of a child. And like when you start thinking about it in that way, the movie really sort of opens up, and you like understand why each scene was there, right? And that's what I found really good about the movie. Like halfway through, I sort of realized that, and then I started seeing every scene in that perspective. And then you can really like I just liked the movie a lot more. I think if hadn't realized that, I would just knock it off as another funny movie. It was funny, of course, it was funny, right? But there is this sort of an idea that they want to convey, and that's what I think I sort of gained when I thought of it in that. So
I
that's
mean,
the
yeah,
sort of,
that's a good way to put it. I mean, that if you have the creator's intentions in mind, you can sometimes enjoy the movie a lot more than you would just by
yeah.
looking at the movie. I understand that, but let me give you a switch perspective on that, right? So
Right.
what I've been trying to do and have been failing to do miserably is try to be a movie critic, right? So I've really tried to understand direction. I've tried to understand writing, acting, all
Yeah.
of that, and I try to become as much of a critically critical viewer as much as possible, right? But what I end up doing is that I just rate the movie based on the entertainment that it gives in the end, right? And I mean,
Right.
I feel that in the end movies are meant for your entertainment. Like, of course there are messages, there are underlying messages, there are overarching themes and
Yeah.
all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But in the end I feel that if a movie is entertaining enough, I'll watch it and I'll have fun, right? That's why the movie, like the best movie that I remember for this example is Darkest Hour, right? Darkest Hour is a movie
Right.
for which this guy Gary Oldman got an Oscar instantly, right?
OG. Yeah.
And I mean, it was amazing acting, right? And in the end, we all know about Churchill's story, right? I mean, in the end, like what he did, he was hated by the British public and the British government, but he still did a lot of decisions in the World War that helped end the World War, right? In the end, and there were all sorts of things about it, right? And on top of that, he portrayed it in this entire fashion. That Churchill was this character, that he was so unique in his own
Yeah.
way that it was really difficult to portray him, but he ended up doing that. It's kind of like, I guess, Chanakya, right? That Chanakya is
Yeah.
this character in India that he's this ugly looking person, but he's still very, very, like, he's not wise, but he's cunning. And that's the difference, right? And like, it's the same thing that keeps going through your head when you watch the movie, that it's not, the movie is not about the plot, it's the plot, it's not about the direction, nobody cares about direction. In the end, it's about how he tries to portray Churchill. And I really found it entertaining. I found it
Yeah.
very interesting that he could portray it the way he could, right? And I don't think there are a lot of people who like that movie. Yeah. I mean, people just think that it's a critically acclaimed movie, it's a war movie, so of course it'll get an Oscar,
Yeah.
this, that, right? But in the end, I felt like I personally liked that movie only because of Gary Oldman, right?
Yeah.
And that's where he got the Oscar as well, right? That it's a very the entire point of the movie was about Gary Oldman acting as Churchill, and he got an Oscar for that. So
He
it was
did.
perfect that way,
Exactly. Yeah. I
right?
feel
So
like that's the sort of thing, right? So, like, I feel what the best thing that can happen is that we can see that a guy, the creator accomplished everything that he wanted to through his movie, right?
exactly,
Then
exactly,
now his own goal can be a very simple thing, or it can be a very large thing. But if he did what he wanted to do, then everybody's happy, right? Like
exactly. That's what I mean.
you should criticize a movie for something that it did want to do in the first place, right? Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
That
That's fair.
doesn't make sense, right? So you should just always see what they wanted to do with it. That's the
That's true, and I think over there, even Parasite is a good example of that. That, I mean, of course, I had watched Nerdwriter's video, and he had talked about pacing, so I had that one thing, that one bias in my head. But even while watching the movie, I very naturally felt that the movie had this very weird pacing. That it would just pick up its pace very gradually. It'll go and it'll be at this entire, like, it'll be at full speed, and at literally at the exact middle of the movie it'll slow down, and then like everything now is open. Like, we knew what was going to happen, he still showed us, and because it was obvious to us that okay, the family member number 2 will enter, then number 3, number 4, we knew this was going to happen. So every
yeah.
member enters faster than the previous one, right? In that family, in the house, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
in
Yeah.
the end, what ends up happening is that at the exact middle, all the family members are in the house, and now the movie starts. Like
Exactly.
that's what he wants to do. That he wants
Like
to
the
control
movie
that pace in your head.
yeah,
he,
exactly.
he wants to do that. He wants to control that, he wants to control that line where you run, like where you're walking, then you start running, then you stop. Now you think what is gonna happen now. And
What
now
could
the
happen? Like
movie,
I really do remember thinking exactly that, when all the family members were there and they were just, chilling out in their, in their living room basically. And
yeah.
I was really thinking, where is this movie gonna go? Because there is literally entire half left, and I cannot see this going anywhere. And then the basement is revealed. And I mean, again, spoilers. I guess it's spoilers. Okay, spoiler warning.
Spoilers.
I guess you can skip to whatever we're gonna show in like the description or whatever. But the point is the basement. When the basement comes into picture and chaos, utter chaos in the next half. It's like, how has he written this sort of a roller coaster,
Beautiful.
man?
It was
It's
beautifully written. And that's what I'm saying, right? That in the end, if you if you're entertained by the movie, then that aspect may be critically acclaimed. In the end, the movie won an Oscar, right?
yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that part of the movie may be critically acclaimed, but if it is entertaining to you, it's entertaining to you. It's just simple as that. And if it's not, it's not. I understand, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But that is exactly why I find movies like that entertaining. And I mean, I know I'm switching gears very fast right now, but my top one favorite movie, right? Inglorious Bastard.
Yeah, Inglourious Basterds. Yeah, Inglourious Basterds.
Exactly, right? There's a reason why I love that movie. It's my God, that movie is the best
That movie is
written movie
like
of, like,
good.
everything in the movie is beautiful. The direction, the
I think
writing, the acting, the plot, everything. Like everything down to the freaking camera work as well. Like even the
exactly.
camera work is inspired so much by the old movies, by Alfred Hitchcock, or
Yeah, yeah,
all these old movies he's been inspired from, but he still has his own takes on them. And
yeah.
my God, Christopher Walken's movie acting,
Oh,
dude.
Walken is
My
so
God,
like
that
it's
guy
like
is amazing.
that yeah, that movie is basically like the pinnacle of entertainment. I think a
That's what
movie
I'm
cannot
saying.
get more entertaining than those particular hours of runtime, man. Seriously, I had the time of my life. Just like I really wish I could have watched that in the theaters, man. Like
Yeah,
I really
definitely.
wish some of these old movies, I really want to somehow be able to watch them in theaters, man.
And the
Like
best part of it is that dad recommended it to me. Like when I watched the movie, I think I watched it in college, like second or third year. But dad was recommending me that
that
movie.
I could do it.
Yes, that's what I'm
Wait,
saying. Bro, that movie was in my watch list, or movies that we downloaded or whatever. I don't know, since 2000 freaking, I don't know, man, till ninth or 10th. Like I was in ninth or 10th, so that's what,
right,
2012, 2013.
right.
I have that movie in my collection, and I want to watch that movie, but I didn't, like, I ended up watching it right in college, and I freaking love that movie. Again, I've only watched that movie once. I've not
Yeah.
watched any scene again. Like I've not even watched it on YouTube. I think I showed a couple of scenes to friends
Yeah.
sometimes, but that's it. Like other than that, I've
So I
not watched the
recently
movie.
went to my cousin's house and we just sort of saw the some of the ending scenes of that movie. I watched it with him, and it's just like that movie is so much fun, man. Like some of
It's
the scenes
amazing.
that German scene of the again spoilers. I guess we're going in the spoiler territories, please.
It's fine.
Uh,
It's the light spoilers, but yeah,
I think it's one of the best scenes. I
at
think
the
you should
moment, yeah, the moments are
any
good.
sort of preconceptions for it. Just go ahead and watch it, right? But I
Agreed.
think that's a very good movie. Yeah.
Beautifully written
I
movie.
also, yeah, recently watched Marriage Story. I think you may know this. Uh, who is that actress? Black Widow actress. Forgot the name.
Bollywood or Hollywood?
Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, it's Hollywood. Scarlett
Hollywood.
Johansson.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's on
Sounds
Netflix. I think it's a Netflix original, but
good.
I think it was also well done. Like a very straightforward movie, and like it sort of tells you like basically it's a the message is very straightforward. Like I mean the plot, not the
Is it a
message.
rom com? Is it a rom com?
No, no, it's actually. It's funny because the name is Marriage Story, but it's actually a story about divorce. It's literally the entire movie
Okay, okay,
is a story
okay,
about divorce, right? So it's
okay.
really funny. It's quite funny. Yeah,
Nice.
I I got to give them that. But
Yeah.
I think like they just made it's a, it's a look into divorce from the inside, right? It's basically it will feel like you are having a divorce. That's what the movie makes you feel, right? And
Okay.
it's like for, in the first couple of minutes you'll think like, okay, of course this person is right and that is wrong, and then you flip and then okay, this person was the right one, and she fucked him up and something like that, and then it's like it sort of goes back and forth. But then it's like halfway inside the movie you realize it's just the circumstances, and both of them have made some mistakes. So one person made more mistakes than the other, and the other character made mistakes later on. It's like it's sort of like a entire train wreck, yeah, but it's like it's so
Interesting.
well written. I really did feel like I was having a divorce, because it's like it was sort of like a emotional stress. You have like this sort of stress, like why is this so hard? Why does this have to be so complicated? You know what I mean?
What?
You like from the outside, you just always think, okay, it's so easy, right? You're just gonna separate from a partner, and you just heard these horror stories about alimony and having to see your child on these certain days, and of course, it sounds awful, but it's just a concept in our head, right? But I think anybody who has not had a good idea about divorce will have a very good inside look from that movie. And I think I just sort of realized it right now that it's called a marriage story, but it's a story about divorce. And that is very funny. But it's, yeah,
Okay,
I think
that's
it's
it.
definitely a movie worth checking out. Yeah.
Is it a Netflix movie?
Yeah, Netflix original. I think it's a Netflix
Oh,
original.
okay. Wow,
Gotta
that's
check it
that's very interesting. That's my God. I think I think we started watching good movies when we were together, back in 2020. But when I came back to Boston, I think we started watching like really weird shit. And it's very crazy. Like, the only thing I can think of is you watching a marriage story. What? What does that even mean?
So
But
basically, there
then,
was a discussion, right? That when we'll separate, we just want to know what sort of different trajectories we'll take and
yeah.
what avenues we'll have in watching different weird shit. And I think we've come up with enough examples right now
Oh
of
my God.
giving each other weird things that we've been watching.
Oh
But yeah,
shit, that's crazy, man. And I think, that's a good segue into a really, really good movie that I loved watching. It's called A Rear Window. I talked to you about this before, but it's called A Rear Window. It's a movie by Alfred Hitchcock. It's a 1952 movie. It's a vintage movie, even by my own standards. Like
right,
our normal movie standards are, like anything before 80s is an old movie. For everyone,
right,
even a 2002 2003 movie is an old movie, right?
exactly, exactly.
So, but like this is a freaking 1950s movie.
We're like
Like,
ancient in
and
terms of cinema.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
ancient.
like, how far do you go before you just turn black and white? I mean, I don't know,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's a beautiful movie. So the premise of the movie is that there's a guy, uh, he's a photographer, wildlife photographer. Like he does all kinds of controversial photography. So he'll go into the freaking desert or something to click very pictures from very close, or he'll click pictures of some races and then get something. So, but the point is that he gets injured in one of the photography events that he goes, and he's trapped in there for like 6 weeks or something. That was the idea, and he was in there for like the seventh week, right? Like, sorry, it was the last week. It was essentially the point that it was the last week, and he all he would do is sit on his wheelchair and look out his window, right? It was the rear window, literally, very
Right,
literally,
right.
right?
Yeah.
So he would look out the window, and it was kind of like this square apartment area kind of thing. So it was like this hollow square, if you imagine, right? So
Yeah.
the entire border was just all apartments, and everyone's rear windows were inside, and the doors were all facing the other side, right? So
Right.
this building would be this side, this building would be that side. So on and so
Okay.
forth.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you a mental image of what it was,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I get it.
And
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, see, that's the point as well, right? So Alfred Hitchcock really puts like these things in place. He has this way of putting camera shots around where he'll just make you know where each apartment is, where each person is supposed to be, and if they're not, then you
Yeah.
realize that, and all of that things, right? So yeah, I'll just finish the plot, then I'll talk about the movie itself. But what happens is that there's some kind of I don't know, there was some kind of murder or something that happens, and the photographer is convinced that he saw a murder, right? And he tries to gather evidence, but no one's willing to believe him. He has a girlfriend, he has a nurse that comes in every day because he can't go to the go do his things around, right? So she'll help him change clothes and all that stuff, basically. So the nurse doesn't believe him. His girlfriend doesn't believe him.
Right.
He has a friend who's a freaking detective that he also doesn't believe him. And then he just starts gathering evidence, and the movie unfolds from there. Right now, I mean, in general, it's a very run-of-the-mill idea. Right, it's not a very it's not a very huge concept that that requires a lot of camera work and CGI and all that stuff,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But the movie is so well executed, right? That's the only thing I can really say, that the dialogue writing of it, like it's not just the writing of the movie itself, but the freaking dialogues. The dialogues are
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, the acting is also great. It's not amazing. I mean, I don't think it requires amazing acting, but it's still quality, right? It's a very good quality. I don't know, discussion you'll call it, because it's just dialogues. The movie is all dialogues. There's nothing
Yeah.
out of it, right? And
Exactly.
that's the whole point, that they just talk with each other in this particular way. It's so mesmerizing. You, like, I think by the 30-minute, 40-minute mark, you'll be just focusing on what they're saying, and you're listening to them, and like every
Right.
dialogue, every word that they're saying, you're trying to
Right.
analyze.
Yeah.
It's a beautifully written movie, and
Yeah.
you should definitely watch it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's like kind of like the same thing with Moneyball. Like the main thing about it, which people think is not gonna be there in a baseball movie, is that you know there are people talking to each other, and there is the entire movie is composed of people talking to each other,
Mm.
right? So that's
Yeah.
like a sort of thing you immediately feel like, okay, how will I be interested in a movie where people just talk to each other, right? But then
Mm.
after one point, you sort of start connecting to what they're sort of going for, right? And it just feels good. It's like, I don't know, it's like it's just the entire movie is very subtle, right? And I sort of like that about just a
Yeah,
small tangent
definitely.
I want because
Yeah,
I
no,
just sort of
that's exactly what it is, right? So
yeah.
that movie also led me to realize how we've talked about this before, but how Tarantino has these. So he'll have these very original concepts of movies, but the way he shows them, the way he uses his camera work, or I think, yeah, camera work is the best way to put it. He's really very heavily inspired from Alfred Hitchcock's movies. That it's this
Really?
way of way of framing things, right? So you have this space. I think it's a back then I think it was a 16:9 ratio, right? And that space where you have everything to do, like you have
Frame,
these
frame.
things
It's in the
in
frame.
focus. Yeah, exactly. Everything is in a way in focus, even though you see that it's like things are happening in the background, but it's still all of the things that happen around you are in the end
Yeah.
important, right?
Right.
Like if you rewatch the movie, you'll realize that, okay, something happened over there that I didn't notice the first time, right? Because I was
Yeah.
busy watching this corner of the screen.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's the whole point, that it was you can't control that in 1952. You can't do that. It's everyone needs to be perfectly orchestrated. Everyone needs to do things the right way at the right moment,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That's
And
true.
the way they've executed it is really beautiful. That's really why I love Rear Window, and I want to watch more movies like that as well. Like I have
Exactly.
a couple of movies planned, like I have them listed, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, in general, it's a very, very hard recommendation for anyone that's going to watch the movies for more than mindless entertainment. right?
Yeah, yes,
If you want
yeah.
anything more than mindless entertainment, Rear Window is a definite watch for almost anyone. It's a beautiful movie.
I think, yeah, what you just said right now kind of reminded me of something that I want to talk about, and that is like camera work in films, right? So I think like we when we talk about, because one of the I mean the biggest form of entertainment for us is movies, right? So when we as you said, when we talk about movies, we think about acting and we think about the plot, right? But I like, and then we can go further along with in other directions, right? But like lately what I've started noticing is that like a lot of it hangs on the camera work, right? It can make or break the movie. It really can. I mean, there are a lot of movies where it kind of just doesn't matter,
Yeah,
but there is like, you can, it can, you know, make the movie worse than its concept, or it can boost it to a level where you can instantly connect to it. Like there is like, I felt that quite a lot in Moneyball as well. Again, I'm gonna refer to Moneyball because I think Moneyball is I'm probably gonna be the movie of the year for me. I think so. I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
That's how
that's
it
nice.
is. So simple. It's so subtle. I think when you watch it, it'll be like, okay, it's such as, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will think, okay, it's just a simple movie. I don't know why Abhishu is going on and on about it, but I don't know, something about it connected to me. But the point is, I also saw a YouTube video about it, right? So it talked about the camera work in Moneyball. So there are a lot of shots where what the director does is that he takes a shot from further away, right, where a lot of people are visible, right, and so is like the one person that he's gonna be focusing on, and then he like instantly jump cuts. He does not move the camera to the main character. He instantly
Okay.
jump cuts the camera to the character that they're gonna, that the director wants the focus on, right?
Right, right,
So basically it gives like a sort of effect where you basically jumping into the mind of what the person is doing, right? And so
right, right.
basically it's sort of like a preview of his environment, right, of where he is and what's going on around him, and then instantly you're into his mind, and that sort of created like a very different effect than what I've seen in any other movie so far, right? And I
Interesting.
think there's like a, it's almost like a characteristic. It's like vocabulary or the way you write for novels, right? That's what camera work is, because that's what you interact with, right? So in the
Hmm.
shots where there is silence, or the shots where the camera is changing, I think if you pay a little bit of attention to that, you'll really realize that, okay, camera work can really make or break a movie, right? And I think in case of Moneyball, there was quite a lot of good things going on with the camera work as well. And I'm planning on watching it again. I'll watch it again, I think by the end, at the end of this year, because I want to notice some of those things. But that's one of the things that I also wanted to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, camera work has always been this thing, right? So, okay, Nolan is really famous for his cinematography, right? That he
Yeah.
puts things in frame very much, and it's very easy for people to like Nolan for what he
Yeah.
makes. You know, he makes these larger than life movies, and he'll do all these particular things. But why I really love Nolan, and why I love watching his movies, and why I sadly haven't been able to watch any of his movies in the freaking cinema even when I wanted to,
Oh my
is
God.
so freaking is annoying. Like, I think the only movie I watched is Dunkirk, right? But I really appreciated that. So that's the best part, right? I mean, Dunkirk was not one of his best movies by any shot. I mean, he's made
Yeah.
Prestige, he's made Memento, Inception, Interstellar, like amazing movies,
Too many
right?
movies. Yeah. Too
Right?
many
Yeah,
movies.
he's made amazing movies. So Dunkirk is not
The
even
Dark Knight.
probably in his top three. Like it's a great movie, but I mean it's not a great movie. I'm sorry, but the cinematography of the movie, right, where he
Yeah.
we where
That's the kind of like,
he pans, he puts his shots in perspective of the soldier, or the airplane, or a freaking ship. Like, you
yeah.
feel the ship falling down into the water, or you feel the plane taking turns and going back into the direction that the story wanted it to go, whichever may be the case, right? And you feel that motion, and that's why I really like Duncan. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have been probably one of the most vocal anti-war movie guy. Right? I don't like war movies at all, but I still like Dunkirk only because of its cinematography. I mean, in the end, I would definitely not put that movie in the top three by any chance, or top three
Yeah.
of Nolan. even of Nolan. I mean, but still, it was very, very well executed camera work wise, right? And
Yeah.
that's what makes
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie. It's so easy for even. I mean, even in movie like Inception, it's so easy for you to focus on so many other things like the freaking plot. The plot is so complex. You have DiCaprio and Cillian Murphy and Tom Hardy, all these actors, they're doing great acting, right? So it's very, very easy to get lost into all the good things that Inception has. But I feel there's a case to be made for watching the movie just from the perspective of how the camera has worked in the movie, right?
Right.
How the cinematography has affected the movie, and it's really, really good, and it's really worth watching just for that reason. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
of course, it's very easy to recommend Nolan and be called a Nolan fanboy. It's very easy to do that. And I have been, again, we've had multiple, at least private discussions about how I don't like Interstellar and you love Interstellar. And we are
That we
not
think
going on
again.
it today. We are not doing it today. Not
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
We'll
But
do it
basically, the
another
thing
day.
is, there are some movies that I like, and there are some movies that you like about Christopher Nolan, and we agree on some movies and disagree on some of the others.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's
in
that.
general, we like Christopher Nolan. He's a
Yeah.
good guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
makes nice.
I mean, the only reason I mentioned that is because I want to tell you that I don't like all of Nolan's movies, right?
Yeah,
But the point is
I
that I like the concept. I like the camera work of that guy. I mean, everything else is okay, but the camera work is amazing. Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
think even if I want to talk about, like, if I also do want to talk a bit critically about one of his movies, then I think in Tenet, I think the plot and everything was very well done. Like the concept itself was complicated enough. There was enough twists. Everything was going on. The Christopher Nolan formula, right? It was very well done. But I think one of the biggest problems that happened with Tenet is that he didn't do a good enough job of explanation. I can't remember the term that they use, but
Exposition?
basically exposition is
Yeah.
exactly right. So there wasn't any perfect sort of exposition for Tenet. I think he did that best with Inception, and it was a bit worse in Interstellar, and it got a lot worse with Tenet. Because I have not met a single person who has watched it in a single go and has understood absolutely everything that the movie had to say. Now, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe, I mean, of course, it depends on the creator what sort of movie he wants to make. Maybe he wants to make movies that are complicated enough for people to have to watch it again and things like that, right? But
Right.
I think there's like, but I think it's the creator's job to make a to communicate with the audience in a way that is understandable, right? Because even I think that you could uh, Tenet could be made in a way that was much more easier to understand. And I think we are among the people who did understand the movie quite a lot from in the entire first watch. But I literally met a lot of people and I've talked to them, and like a lot of people, they just go like, okay, I cannot understand what's going on, right? Because they can't catch it. Nolan is giving you 5 concepts and moving on to the 6th one, and you're wondering about the first one, what's going on with the
Yeah,
first one, right?
I agree.
So I
Yeah.
think he needed to take a bit of a slower pace. That's, I think, one of the biggest problems that he made with them.
Pacing has always been a weird thing, right? So again, I don't want to go too much into detail about this, but for Interstellar, I felt the same thing that his pacing has always been his Achilles heel. That
Yeah.
in Interstellar, the plot would go in this, like, it would have, I think, almost perfect pace. I mean, Bong Joon-ho would be proud. That's how good
Yeah.
the pace would have been. But then he would just throw in random expositions. Of course, they're important to the plot for you to understand how a black hole works, or how how a particular move is going to cost him 27 years, right?
Yeah.
That famous dialogue. And like, all of that is really important. Also the concept of wormholes, he really explained it well. But the thing is, the movie is going in a particular pace, and the pace is continuously broken by him giving multiple expositions. I understand that the expositions are important, and in fact, I feel that if there were not those expositions were not there, then I would not have understood the movie. I
Right.
understand the value of expositions,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
he doesn't understand that I guess he understands. I mean, I shouldn't say it that way,
Yeah.
but his placing of expositions in the script is not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I
So I
think he
think what
can do a
happened.
much better
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Interstellar is one of the best movies of our time. That's maybe, of course, for critical reasons. Of course, there are problems that I found with it even now. But I just have this in my mind that back when I watched it, it has been the greatest, single greatest setting experience for me for
Hmm.
any movie, and that was Interstellar. But I can still acknowledge what happened, right? So I think Inception and The Dark Knight was sort of like perfection. I think The Dark Knight didn't even need to have any sort of exposition because there weren't any sci-fi complicated elements
Exactly.
going on.
That's why it was amazing, right? That's why it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't need any explanation.
Yeah. So now with Interstellar, what happens is there are some concepts, but he does explain them perfectly, each of them, and in a
Yeah.
proper way, right? In Interstellar, what is happening that he is giving these expositions, but they are not timed perfectly, or they aren't going in with the tone of the movie. It's like he has to get out, explain, and then get in into
Yeah.
the movie.
It feels
That's
like you're watching a YouTube movie in the middle of a movie.
exactly that's
Like,
kind of
okay,
like
what does
how
this mean? They come back.
yeah,
It
yeah,
really feels like.
and that's kind of like breaks the pace. Yeah, but I think what happened in Tenet is he there simply just wasn't enough screen time for explosions. Like there was too much action, there was too many things going on, which were awesome if you understood what was going on. But nobody understood what was going on, right? So the
I
very
really
few
felt sad about it because the
it
last action sequence was beautiful.
really was.
I've told you about that RPG scene, right? I've watched that
Yeah,
RPG scene only once
that
again.
really,
Again, that RPG scene, I think I watched it only once again, like on YouTube. But
yeah,
oh my God, that is one of the best scenes I've seen. Like it because I understood all the concept that
yeah,
they were trying to show, right? That they were showing this reverse, what inverted time, the concept of
yeah,
that, right? Everything that happens due to the inverted time concept, right? They were showing all of that, and it was
yeah,
all executed together in this action sequence. So
yeah,
if you understood everything that happened before that sequence, you will love that sequence, and I
yeah,
personally loved it. The
yeah.
RPG scene just freaking blew my mind away. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so the thing is, I know that I liked the movie, right? Because I sort of understood. I can't say I understood everything 100%, but I
Yeah,
did understand most of it, right? And I loved it. I felt that it was just as good as any of his other sci-fi movies, right? But I can understand when a person says that I didn't get the movie, right? You
agree.
cannot say that okay, this guy's dumb because he doesn't understand. No, that is the movie's problem. The movie didn't do a good job of exposition.
Agree.
That's the only problem I have. So that's like the sort of
Yeah,
thing about it.
definitely. I mean, it's this entire thing where it's become this cult thing where people will either love Nolan movies or they hate Nolan movies,
Yeah, yeah,
and
exactly.
it'll become this entire fight between them. That, oh, you're not smart enough to understand
Yeah,
Nolan movies.
yeah.
Like, okay, Nolan movies are
Like you are
for
just
like
a fan.
elitist people and all that.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, it's freaking annoying. But
yeah.
yeah,
But
I
it's
mean, see,
the best
I'll tell
way
you
to
about concepts, right?
like
See,
movies and at the same time acknowledging their failures. I think that's the best way to do it because in the end, you want people to, like these movies, right? So what you do is you say that you like it, but then at the same time, you can say that these are the failures that the movies have so that any person who is, against your point of view could also get into your head and understand what you're trying to say.
exactly. And that's the whole thing, right? So when you have this bigger concept than usual and you want to execute it, I think the best way to showcase, exemplify that is Arrival. I mean, Arrival has been such an amazing
Yeah,
movie, right? So, okay, we watched this Alien movie a couple of days ago as well. It was called The Tomorrow War. It was by, I think, Chris Pratt is in it, and there's some other people. I honestly don't remember. But it was in every definition, in every way of the word, it was a mediocre movie. It was a very passable movie. It was like, it
yeah,
had nothing going on for itself. It was just mindless. Like, it was not even mindless action, but like, it was enough for the audience, enough for the studio, and enough for the movie makers. Like it was just that way. Like you
yeah,
just earn money and just go out of it, right?
yeah, yeah.
But like Arrival was an answer to mediocre alien movies, right? That you don't need alien movies to be about mindless action all the time. I mean, of course, there was action. There was this entire looming threat of, uh, like, it was this inverted thing where the looming threat was not of the aliens attacking us, but us attacking the aliens. Like Russians and Chinese would attack the ship, and the tone was that we were scared of that, right?
Right. So are you talking about Arrival or are you talking about Tomorrow War?
No, Arrival. I'm talking about Arrival.
Arrival, right?
But yeah, so the concept is inverted here, that we are not
Yeah.
scared of the aliens,
We
but
we
we are
scared of our
actually,
response to the aliens.
exactly, we're scared of what they will do
As a collective
to
species,
the
yeah.
aliens, right? And like, aliens have a 7 legs. Why is that? Because it can be. You don't have to think about it that way. I mean, if you think of aliens having 2 legs and tentacles, like, it's just the most basic way you can think of an alien. Why does an alien need to have 2 legs or 4 legs? That's
It
so
can have
basic.
any- how can you define an alien with like the sort of look that he has? Like, of course, it can have any look, right?
Exactly.
Obviously,
Right.
it's an
And that's
alien
what
for
this,
Christ.
yeah. So it's just, the movie is even designed in such a way. The ship is so sleek. The aliens have like 7 pods. They don't talk, but they use ink to write. But the
Yeah,
writing is communication, right? All that shit. But like, it's this, the movie gives you this thing where you feel like you want to understand the aliens, right? You want to understand the movie the same way Amy Adams wants to understand the
yeah,
alien,
yeah,
right? And that's the feeling that the movie gives you, right?
exactly. Yeah,
That's the part, like, that's why I like Arrival so much. That
yeah.
Arrival
Arrival
is this response, like, it's designed, like, of course it's an alien movie in the end, right?
exactly.
It's told that way, that it's called
That's the
Arrival.
selling point. That's basically which will
Yeah,
catch the
in the end
for
it's,
the largest audience, basically.
exactly, yeah. But then it goes in this completely different direction. It brings all these concepts of linguistics and time and all of that. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
in the end, it's, there's a lot of
Literally
spoilers, and I
spoiler.
don't want to. Yeah, yeah, I'm not going to go too much into detail because I don't want to spoil the movie. I won't talk about spoiler related content, but what I'll say is that it's a good response to the mediocre alien movies of, cut off the head and the body will flounder type movies, where, you
Yeah.
have this hive mind and you kill the main alpha and it'll go
Yeah.
right, and all of those different things, in the end, that.
And like, I don't even want to talk about how the movie was good because Nerdwriter did an amazing job at explaining that.
Oh
And
yeah,
his
definitely.
video title literally was, Arrival, a response to bad movies. And I think that was hidden somewhere away in your subconscious because that's exactly what you said. But basically, that's sort of true, right? And he would explain it better than any both of us could do. So I guess we're just gonna
Definitely.
link that down in the description. You could definitely check that out.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
Arrival definitely Arrival as opposed to say Interstellar, you can say how we can talk about what Arrival got right that maybe Interstellar could,
Yeah, I
right?
agree with that. Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, see, in the end, that's the idea, right? And I mean, there are a lot of small mentions that I have, but for that, we'll have to finish them. So I want to talk about Dune as well, the book that we read, but you not finished the book.
I
So I
guess
want you
this
to finish the book.
this discussion has largely just been about movies, so I guess we can just keep it about like movies
Yeah, that's
and
fine. No, see, in the
discuss
end,
about.
you not even read the book, right? So it's gonna be,
Yeah, I am not finished it, by the way. Yeah, I am
yeah.
not finished it.
So yeah, that's more important to me. But yeah, I mean, movies are, this movies have this format, right? That it's anywhere from 1.5 hours all the way to 4 hours,
Yeah.
and they have, there's a lot of things that can go right, a lot of things that can go wrong, and there's this entire thing. I mean, why I said 4 hours is because of Justice League, and I don't want to talk a lot about Justice League. I mean, I like DC a lot and all
By the way,
that.
though I don't really mind getting spoilers for that because I'm not very excited about it, but I
Yeah,
will
like, the
definitely
same
watch it.
story. In the end, it's the same story. The original Justice League and the
Right.
Snyder Cut both have the same story, overarching story, that the guy came, Steppenwolf came down and wanted to conquer Earth, all that. But there's a lot more reasoning behind everything. Like Flash is given more time. Who's it called? Cyborg is given more time. Even Steppenwolf is given more time. right?
Right.
And it becomes like this more it becomes slightly more coherent in the sense that there's a lot more story. So now you understand uh, now you understand why, who does what and in what way. But in the end, it still falls. I mean, because you gave a reasoning to something doesn't make it better by itself, right? That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, it doesn't necessarily have to make it better, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, it's a good movie, but like for 4 hours, you could definitely watch something better. I mean, if you don't know about the Justice League Snyder Cut drama, then you're just better off not watching. It's fine. I mean, it's not that.
No, I mean, I have an idea about it. I know the basics that basically, of course, we all know the original Justice League was absolute trash. You know,
Yeah.
absolute train wreck disaster. That
Yeah.
was the original Justice League.
Yeah.
That yeah, basically, I am planning on watching it, but I gotta say, I'm not as excited about that as maybe you are. You being the DC fanboy,
Hey, I'm
among the
not.
two.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. I'm a fan. Yeah. Why not? Oh my
No,
God.
I'm not saying okay. Fanboy is the wrong word. I mean, the thing is like the internet makes you talk in loaded terms, right? Like it
Extremely
differentiates.
loaded terms.
You have to always talk in loaded terms. Like I didn't even realize when I said that you're a DC fan. You're of course not a DC fanboy, right? But it's just like we categorize people so fast. Like this is like a freaking libtard and like basically right wing workers, and like we have all these sorts of talk, and I just sort of hate that. But yeah, but you can see the sort of effect that it has, right? But of
Yeah,
course, you're not a
definitely,
DC fanboy,
definitely.
but you have to admit you like DC a lot, and you
Yeah,
are reading it.
I was just gonna
Yeah,
make a case
so I
for
can
DC
relate to
Comics.
yeah, we can let
I
the
was,
viewers that if he's a DC fanboy or not, but he actually has read quite a lot of comics for DC
yeah.
as well. So just gonna put it out there. Yeah.
I am not a DC fanboy, but I'm gonna recommend 5 DC comics for you. It's
Yeah.
Rush, yeah, the first year, all that. And I'll recommend all this comic, but I'm not a DC fanboy.
Yeah.
But
Pretty much how it's going. Yeah. But,
no, but it's great, man. It's great, and movies
I
are
think one of
going.
the
Yeah.
yeah. You can complete, yeah.
I'm just going in that direction, coming back to the whole Bollywood, train wreck again. I know we've been using that word a lot here, but Bollywood has this weird direction that it's going. It's taking like this K curve that it went in this direction, and now it's either doing very indie original movies that either get recognition or don't. It's
Yeah.
just a toss of the coin, or they do real shitty, corny ass remakes, and even they will either go amazingly well or not. And people will, even if ironically, people will go and watch it and give it money, making the studio think that they want more of it. Which
Yeah.
I don't
So
know
they'll
if they
watch.
do or don't, but in the end, that's what's happening. If you go watch the ninth remake of Fast and Furious, or you go watch Race 3, and you say it that way, then you just
That you don't like it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go
You're
watch the
sending a
movies, then the
different
studio
message to
will
the industry, right? You think something else and you're giving a different message to the industry, then of course they're not gonna know. They don't know what you're thinking. They just know what you bought the tickets for, right? They're
exactly,
gonna they're gonna make the movies for which they can sell the highest number of tickets, obviously.
exactly. I mean, sure, if it's entertaining to you, if remakes are entertaining to you, even if
Then you can watch.
ironically if they're entertaining to you, then you watch it. It's fine.
Of
But
course, yeah.
but
They're
then
not.
people also complain that why are they making such shitty ass movies? But then if you're going in ironic, even if you're going ironically, they understand that they don't care if it's ironic or not. They're getting
Yeah,
money.
because they're getting
So
money,
they
of
make
course.
movies.
This is
Yeah,
not like obviously, yeah. So that's the song.
yeah, it's
I
okay.
think, yeah. So I guess I would just like to end by one of. If you didn't have enough movie recommendations in this one, I'm just gonna give one last movie as a shout out. I just watched Heat. It is, I think, a 1992 movie,
Heat,
Hollywood
okay.
movie. Yeah, I'm telling you, I got
Bollywood or
very
Hollywood?
Hollywood,
Hollywood.
1995. So, and
90.
let me tell you who stars in it. Okay, we
Okay.
got Al Pacino,
Okay.
we got Robert De Niro,
Okay.
we got Natalie Portman. Yeah,
What?
yeah. You'll be surprised where Natalie Portman is. Let me just tell you. But anyways, the point is, it was a very like comfort food sort of thing, right? Very classic story of cops chasing the
Is
thieves.
Natalie Portman like a kid in it, or I don't know what is?
That's really what it is. I think
Okay.
that's
Yeah,
really
sorry.
what it is.
Go ahead. Go
Like
ahead. Sorry.
originally, I just thought, thought of her as a cast, but I forgot how old the movie was. So when I actually watched it, I was like, where was Natalie Portman? And then I remembered, okay, oh shit, there was that girl, and this movie is old. Okay, Natalie Portman is that little girl in this movie. Shit, I just like that's
Yeah,
the sort of realization I had. So that's
interesting.
really
But yeah,
fun.
what's the movie
But
about?
basically it's a comfort, comfort food sort of film. Basically, when you don't want something too mind bending, but you do want a very well executed, classic, basically crime film, cops chasing a band of thieves, but it's just very nicely written, very subtle, and of course, I don't need to say much more about the acting. Obviously, I think the cast speaks for itself, but a very nicely done movie, and you just have a good time. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
the sort of movie, and I think you can check it out.
yeah, sure,
And
sure. I mean,
that would
I
be
have
the last
another
movie I
movie.
just watched. That's why I'm just recommending it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, definitely. There is another movie that I'm planning to watch. I think I'll watch it tonight itself. But it's called Scarface. It has the same. I think Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are in that as well. And I'll
Yeah.
probably watch it. Like, most probably gonna watch it tonight. But yeah, it's nice that you brought up Heat, because yeah, that's another movie. Scarface is another movie that I'm gonna watch. But let's see what happens.
Yeah.
How I like it. But yeah, if you have something to talk about Heat, I'm very interested.
Yeah, I guess I mean then that's pretty much it. That's all I've got.
Yeah, that's perfect, man. That's perfect. I mean, I was gonna talk about books, TV shows, games
I think
as
yeah,
well.
I thought we were planning to talk about a lot of other things, but I
Yeah,
think movie took all of the time, and I guess
yeah,
that's fine. I guess we'll have more things to talk about in the future, so that's
yeah,
nice.
definitely. I think I want to make like this one video about games as well. I mean, we've played a lot of interesting games as well. Like, there's a lot of old mentions, but there's also new games that we both are playing. We're playing
Yes.
separate games as well, right?
Yeah,
And
also,
that'll
by the way,
definitely.
just a lot of different sort of content is also coming up on the YouTube channel with some of our previous videos, and along with basically
Oh yeah,
some
definitely. Right. So
videos that
I mean, if people uh, that are watching this video don't know about the things that we've been doing till now, so this was actually a private channel kind of thing where we would just talk to each other in 10-minute video formats, right? So what we would do is
start
just
out too long for them, but yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, thank you to the Green Brothers. It's
yeah,
just
got the
amazing.
idea.
But yeah,
Yeah,
we started with that, and we made a lot of good, concepts that we realized are worth putting out in public, right? And yeah, we'll put them public slowly and steadily. I don't think we'll put all of them out in public, because
yeah,
we still want to think which videos are worth,
putting out, yeah.
in the end, which videos are just well made, because we've not made good videos at all.
Yeah,
That's
like
just the
some of
idea.
them are like really bad shit that I
Yeah.
just would like to comment. But I think yeah, some of them were actually good enough to actually put out there, in front
Yeah,
of the world. So I guess we can do
exactly,
that.
exactly.
Thanks
But
a lot.
yeah, that's pretty much it, man. That's amazing. And I would definitely watch Heat and Moneyball. I'm really looking forward to both these movies. I'll
Yeah.
definitely watch them.
I guess I'm gonna watch that Bollywood movie that we just talked about. That
No,
action.
no,
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 should I?
no.
I shouldn't? Okay, right.
No, don't
Don't
watch it.
watch
Don't
it.
watch it.
I guess, should I actually watch it, or should I?
No, no,
Or just
don't watch it. Don't watch
yeah. I guess.
it.
Thought
Anyway,
as much. Yeah.
all
Well,
right.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely watch that old movie that you were talking about.
Rio window.
Forgot the Rear Window. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely, I'll
definitely.
check that one out. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, sounds good,
Right.
man.